Okay, so just another little part of this video putting a mini amp into telecaster. So what I've done next is I've just put my speakers onto the back of the telecaster and I've just drawn around them in the position I want them to be. So I just checked that when I put them in that position it's not going to get in the way of any of the other cavities on this side. So I've done some careful measurements of how far from the edge and how far apart they're going to be. So what I've done is ended up with two outlines of where the speakers are going to go. These are going to have almost like square shapes, but what I've done, I've drawn the outline and then I've made about ½ centimetre, maybe about a quarter centimetre actually, bigger around the outside, because I want the hole to be bigger than that, because if it's exactly that size then I'm going to have to really wedge these in. So just make it a little bit bigger, it will just slot in nicely. So that's my template, or my markings for where I want to route the cavities for the speakers. So the next thing is all the pots and the circuit board. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that bit, it's going to go, I'll turn it around, it's going to go up here somewhere. So I'm going to cut a chamber for that later, but I won't do that just yet. I'm going to start with the speakers, but then after that I'm going to cut the place for this part here, the kind of potentiometers and the circuit boards. So the next step is to prepare this for some routing of these holes for the speakers. So for that bit I'm going to go into my workshop, I do my woodworking, and get that set up. See you in a sec. Hello. Okay, this is my little workshop in my garden where I do the woodwork, and what I've done now is I've got my router, so I've just got that there, but that's not turned on. In fact, just to make sure it's unplugged just for a moment. And what I've done with the body is I've just put some protection underneath it, it's like a tea towel, and I've clamped it to my workbench, but I've put some protection, an old t-shirt and then a piece of ply and then the clamp. So it's all solid, but minimising any risk of causing any damage to the surface of the guitar. Now what I've done, I've chosen a small routing bit that will cut into the wood, and I've just set it at minimal depth. So I've really just set it at 5mm probably, and I'm just going to start off by doing a very shallow pass just to get the shape, and then I'll just make it deeper and deeper as I go through. I'm going to wear some earmuffs because it's noisy. I don't want to hurt my ears. I'm going to wear a mask so I don't get breathe in the dust, and I'm also wearing glasses so that I don't get a risk of any bits of wood flying into my eyes. So I'm just going to get myself kitted up and get my earmuffs on. Looks very nice. Actually, before that I put my mask on as well, just to protect myself from dust. All looking good. Get my earmuffs on, and I'm going to do the first little pass on here, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Right, I'll just bring it over. I'm just going to there we are, so that's my first pass around there. Looking quite tidy. Could be a little bit straighter, but haven't really gone over the edges really, and so I'm just going to go down a little bit deeper. So let's see how the next one looks. Okay, here we are. That's my rooted hole. Doesn't come out too bad. I've got a little finishing off with sandpaper. I've managed actually to make a little secondary chamber into the bit where the pickup selector goes, but that's not going to cause a problem. But I measured how deep I wanted to go through, and then just make sure I carefully rooted. And a couple of things I found. One is that very, very slightly, do a little bit at a time. So just do a little bit more, a little bit deeper, a little bit deeper, rather than doing the whole lot in one go. So just gradually work your way down, and then using the sides that you've already done as a kind of template, that really helps. And also the router works better one way or the other, so I find that rotating it, moving it around in a kind of anti-clockwise direction, it cuts really easily. If you try and move the router around in a clockwise direction, it doesn't, so you kind of find that it goes one way better than the other. So that's that one done. I'm going to finish it off and tidy it up a little bit, but that's deep enough now, and just going to finish off the edges a little bit, but apart from that, that's looking good. And then I'll do the same thing for that one, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so I've done my first routing. It's the first time I've done routing, and it makes an awful lot of dust, that's for sure. I've got my little speakers, and I'm just going to check how well the speaker fits in. If I hold it up, it's just sitting proud. I've got a little foam pad on the back of the speaker which I'm going to take off. So I'll just take that off and just see if I've gone deep enough into. I'm going to take this pad off and always put it on again if I need to. Just see how much further I need to go. Let's just take that off. Put that back in. Ooh, right, I don't know if you can see this, but if I hold that up. So it's nearly there. So I think I've got about another mil to go down before that's completely flush. So I'm going to do another mil. I'll show you what it looks like. Right, okay, here we go. So I've gone a little tiny bit deeper, and this speaker, now I've taken the bit of foam off the back. I pop it in like so, and now it's just actually just flush with this side of the back of the body, if you like. So that's just flush. I can't really go any deeper because I'm at the limit of my router, and I can't really afford to pull that cutter any further out because it's going to be not enough to grip it properly inside the router. So I'm going to stop there. I think that's going to be fine, and what I'm going to do is put a plywood backing plate on the top of here, and what I might do is route it like a tiny bit inside that on the inside, just to make sure I've got a little gap there so it's not completely pushed up against the speaker. But I think that's going to be fine, so I'm pleased with that, particularly as it's my first time at routing or routing. If I just bring it a bit closer, maybe you can see. There we go, so that came out really nice. So I'm just going to do that one next, and I'll show you what that one looks like as well. Okay, this is a dusty job. There's no two ways about this. Anyway, I've got my two cavities for my two speakers, like that. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to just route a channel, not quite as deep, just in between, so this little kind of internet-in cable can just sit nice and neatly out of the way. But I'm happy with my routing. I'll just show you what it looks like. me just move the camera for you. Yeah, the second one came out a lot better than the first one, probably because I had a bit of practice. But I'm quite happy with that, and I'm going to make some nice ply covers to go on the back and make them look really nice. So next thing, just going to do a little channel down there. Okay, there we are. Just made a nice little channel there for my wiring between the two speakers. So that's going nicely. I'm really getting into this routing, whatever it's called. It's quite good fun, as long as you're careful. So the next step is to work out where the next bits and bobs are going to go for the kind of the potentiometer control board and the USB plug and everything else. So I'm just going to go and take this all upstairs and have a look and try and mark out where everything else needs to go. Okay, right, let's stop this for a sec. Okay, hey Key, this is getting quite fun, but it's quite tricky. I'm happy with the speakers, although I'm going to have to put this little circuit board here, where the connectors fit in that little gap there. So I'm just going to widen that out so that that will sit in there, so I can then connect the speakers in the middle there. That's okay. Now the next thing is I've got this bit here. So this has got the USB charging and some jacks on there as well, and that needs to go somewhere where I can plug in the guitar to charge it up. Now I don't want that to be here, because if you put the guitar down, you know, that might just end up getting full of rubbish and crud and stuff. And I don't really want it down there because it's difficult then to see. But so I'm going to put it up here on the top edge. So what I'm going to have to do is root out another little cavity here, so this will just sit sticking out from the top. So when I'm playing, I can then see that little control panel there, which would be quite nice. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to root out just a little cavity just on there, and I'll show you when I've done it. Hello, just going to put another clip just in this next part of the video, because my brother came over, Martin, and he's really good with electronics. He's an electronic engineer, so he was really helpful, because what I wanted him to do was to extend the length of the cables from the battery pack and from the circuit board and the speakers, so that I could put them into the guitar, because they were just wired for people in an amp, but I need them longer wires so I could actually then take it all apart and put everything in different places in the guitar and still connect everything up. So I just a little clip of a video of him doing some wiring for me. So I'm going to put this little clip into the video now to show you how he went about doing that extending of the wiring, so that I can then put all the components into my guitar. Okay, here we are back in the workshop, and I've got my brother Martin, who is an excellent electronic engineer, and what he's going to do is going to do some lengthening of some of the connections, some of the wires, so that, because I've taken the amp apart, we need to kind of just make some longer wires so everything kind of fits together.
Hiya. So what I'm going to do is, this is the battery, and I think it's lithium ion, probably 7.2 volts, because there's two 3.7 volt batteries in series, I think. And so we're going to extend the wires. Now, these wires, this battery could, if you cut these wires together, they could short together and cause a fire. So I'm going to cut one at a time and extend each wire separately. So I've cut that wire, and I'm going to carefully bare the wire to about, say, 1 centimetre maybe, and twist it. And the same for this side. So I've cut that red wire. So I've cut the wires separately, so I'm not cutting the red and black together in case they touch together and cause a fire. So I'm going to take this bit of extension wire, one of these will do, and I'm going to extend the red wire. So I'm going to just twist these wires together like so. Oop. On that, and on this side as well. Oops, let's get them back right. And next step is to solder them and then heat shrink them or wrap them in insulation tape. So, soldering iron's on. So I'm going to clean the tip on a damp bit of sponge and tin the end with some solder, and then apply some solder. Have a look at it, it looks okay, and that's that. So now we're going to tape that up. Ideally you might want to use heat shrink to make it a bit more secure, but tape is fine. And what you can do is you can lean it over the join, the connection, and tape it up. Oops. Probably not a very tidy job this, but as long as it is not the tidiest job in the world, I'm sure heat shrink is probably a lot tidier. So I'm going to bend that over there. Oops. And wrap the connection so it can't touch anything. So that's the red wire done. Do the same for black.
Brilliant.
So snip it right here, strip it back to about 1 centimetre each side. Red to red. So twist them together to give it a bit of mechanical strength, and then solder it. Over to clean the tip each time. Oops. Re-tin the tip each time, and then solder it. And if it's too long, you can cut it down a bit. So I'll wrap it up. So I'm going to fold that over like so. And wrap it up.
Brilliant.
Last one. Got to do the black to black on this side. So again, strip back the length. Give it a bit of mechanical strength by twisting it together. Tin the nib. Oops. And there we go, that's that one. Oh, done. And just put some insulation tape. So that may look a little bit untidy because it's just a tape, which makes it look like you could tidy it up. But that is now extended the battery connector. And I think soldering's better than using screw terminals because you know it's going to give a good connection, which won't come loose. That's screw terminals.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. And I think we're going to extend a few other things, aren't we, from
yes.
the speaker wires. And so what I'll do, I'll show you what it looks like when all the lengthening of wires has been done. But thanks, Martin. That's absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much. Great stuff. Okay. It's a bit more work to this than I expected, to be honest. It's a lot of work. And my brother came around yesterday, and he says, "Oh, there's a lot of work in it," and it is a lot of work. But I still think it's a really nice project. So, as things stand, so I've taken out these two chambers. I've routed them out for the speakers. So the speakers are going to be able to fit in here like so, and that fits very nicely. And there's a little connector in the middle, but I'm just going to fit that in between those two speakers. And this has got the USB connector on it, and this USB connector is for charging up the battery. So I'm going to have this connector and these little plugs actually on the back of the guitar. So I'm going to put a plate, a wooden kind of cover over these chambers with a little cutout for the USB, and that will be so I can charge up the guitar, the battery. So that's all right. And the only other thing left to put in is the battery. So I'll just take those out for a sec. So I need to get the battery pack in, and so I'm thinking that this is going to have to go here. Just hold it like that. That's going to have to go in there. So I'm going to have to do a little chamber for the battery. So a lot of wood I'm taking off this telecaster. So it's going to be quite a lot lighter, I'd imagine. And then the cunning plan that I've had, if I could just show you this. I don't know if I can just zoom in a bit. No, hang on, I'll just show it. Is I've cut, let me show it that way. So I've rooted that bit out, and I've left that bit like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fit this bit here in a little chamber here, but from the outside you'll just see the telecaster shape. But actually I'm going to cut this chamber a little bit deeper, be like an open chamber if you like, and I cut it a little bit deeper so this will sit in, just a bit further in. So from the outside, from this side, you won't see anything, and then as you're playing it you will see all the potentiometers for the kind of controls for the tone and delay and everything else. You'll see that here. I think that's going to be quite cool. So I've just got a bit more woodwork to do, so I'm going to be making this little bit bigger and making a little chamber for the battery. So I'm going to get my router out. I'm not going to film it. One reason is because it's so flipping dusty that I don't really want to get dust all over my camera, because the cameras don't like dust. So I have done a little clip of routing. So I'm going to do a little bit more work on this, and I'll show you what it looks like when I finish doing a bit more routing. Okay, I think I finished my routing, well, very nearly finished my routing. I'm quite shocked really how much wood I've taken away from the back of this Telecaster. I'm quite impressed with how the quality of the wood, because this is a cheap £60 kit, and it seems to be some kind of ash or alder or something like that. It's quite good, quite nice quality wood. So I've taken out the two chambers for the speakers. I've put one in there for the battery pack, and here is going to be the main circuit board with all the controls on it, and so that's going to sit here. And then from the outside you can't see anything because I've done a sneaky thing. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to arrange it, and then I'll do an above shot so you can see how things are going. So I'll just put it all in, and then I'll show you what it all how it's gonna fit. That's gonna go there. Battery pack's gonna go in here. I've got to make the battery pack chamber just a tiny, and then another mil or two deeper. Not quite, but it's nearly there. And I'll put the speakers in like this, and then this is going to go somewhere in the middle. Right, so let me just change the angle and I'll show you what it looks like from above. Okay, so we've got the main control panel is going to be here, but it's going to be sitting just underneath the outside of the body, so from the other side you won't see that, that'll be hidden. You've got your battery pack sitting in here, two speakers sitting here, and then the USB charging point will be coming out of the back. I'm going to put a cover on the back, and that will just be coming out of the back. So I'm going to put a plywood, cover going all the way around here, and just make that finished off really nicely, just to enclose everything. So that's how it looks. So the next step is now to start starting to put the pieces into the body, and what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to make a panel a bit like this out of ply, which is going to go across here, and then I've got to make the back cover panel, and then once I've got that kind of sorted, then I can start to just plug everything back together and then put the guitar back together and give it a test. So there we go, that's where I've got to. I'll just take everything out just to show you what it looks like without it out, with it all out. So the battery out. There we go. So that's what I've done. So quite a lot of wood has come out. I've just got to do with some sanding just to kind of make it really nice. But yeah, there we are. And then if I turn it over, hang on a minute. The only thing you're going to see once it's all plugged in and sorted is you'll just see some speaker holes just about here, and that will be it. So unless you could spot the speaker holes, you wouldn't actually see that there's an amp in this guitar. Okay, thanks for watching, and I'll post the next video as soon as I've got some more progress.